Hi guys, it's Sophie. So I wanted to talk to you guys about a book. I'm going to do a single book review. I'm mostly doing those this year for ones I've been sent for review and the ones I've really liked. But I really like this book and I wanted to do a video just about it on its own. I did buy this one for myself, and that is The Lost Children Archive by Valeria Luiselli. I've read one of her other books, which is called Tell Me How It Ends, which is non-fiction about children who are refugees into the United States and how they get sent home. This book is playing with that similar theme but with other elements added in. So in this book we have a family, it's a mum and a dad and two children who belong to each one of the parents but not to the other one of the parents, so they're each from separated relationships and they come together to make this family. The two parents have similar but seemingly in this family very different jobs. The husband is a soundscape recorder, so he documents the sounds around an area or around an event to try and document them and understand them. The mum's a journalist, but she does similar kind of audio projects that the father does, but in such a way that she's more of an archivist. And the kind of small difference is something that plays really large in this family's eyes. The two children are 10 and 5 respectively, and are kind of quite happy to be on this slightly like alternative world that their parents live in. We start out in New York, where they've both been working on the same project for a kind of large corporate thing, which isn't really either one of their two bags, but they've done it to kind of get some steady money in. And quite early on into the novel, the father decides he needs to work on a different project, one that he calls a meaningful project, which is to sort of go back and travel the lines of the Apache tribe and write and learn and listen to the places where they lived and where they were, and get a sense of like what that world was like just as it was turning and just as settlers were coming in and like putting them in camps and driving them off on trains and things. And the mum at the same time has made friends with a woman who has lost her two children who were coming from sort of South Central America up into the United States and who are lost. And they take this huge road trip across the states from New York down to Arizona with the children in the back. And this is a road trip novel, but like it's such a different road trip novel. I cried at one point in this book, and I won't sort of go through too much because despite this being kind of literary fiction, there is quite a big like twist midway through and something I really wasn't expecting, and I don't want to spoil any of those elements. But other than just like the main storyline and those two different storylines which feel very similar when you're reading through them, there's this like thematic echo going on. The author plays beautifully with the idea of referencing other texts within the book. So in the story itself, the father takes 5 boxes full of things that he needs for his project, and the mother takes one for her project, and the children have one each. And in each of the boxes that the parents take, they're full of books and photographs and newspaper articles and recordings and music pieces and fiction books. And they relate to these and interact with these throughout the story. But the really clever thing is that the author is also interacting with these within the story too. So she is quoting sort of small bits from these books and also playing with two different, let me just remember, I'll get to the back and I just want to make sure I get them right. So she's also using Ezra Pound's Canto 1 and Canto 2, and she's using elements of the Odyssey as well when she goes through. So there's some direct quotes in there that you don't notice, like they don't sit as though they're kind of quotes, they sit as though they're a part of the story, and it wasn't until I read them at the end, there's a list showing them all up, where I noticed how many there were. I noticed a couple of things and I thought, oh, that's interesting. I remember someone saying that in a book I read and figuring out where it came from. But this is like just so clever for that. It plays a lot with things that have disappeared from view, but we still have this echo of echoes are a huge element of this book in kind of a kind of thematic sense, in that things that were there can come back to us in part. It is such a beautifully done book. It's easily my favourite book I've read so far this year, and it may well be on my top 10 books of the year. It is really fabulous and really inventive and really beautifully written, and I just think it's a really good story and deals with some really important things. So if you're interested, do go and try and check this book out of your library, pick a copy up if you can. It's well worth a read. Let me know in the comments down below if you've read it, and if you did you enjoy it? And I'll see you guys again soon in another video. Bye!